All right.
Now
Webinar
call it
started.
to order.
We are on the webinar. Once again, we're calling the meeting to order. Thank you for coming. We're going to have an announcement from our Spanish interpreter.
Buenas noches y bienvenidos a nuestra reunión. Para quienes necesitan interpretación, este seminario ofrece traducción simultánea al español. Para acceder al canal en español en Zoom, siga estos pasos, por favor. En la barra de herramientas de Zoom, haga clic en el icono del globo etiquetado Interpretación. Lo puede encontrar haciendo clic en el círculo con 3 puntitos que dice More o Más. Seleccione español de la lista de idiomas disponibles. Si prefiere no escuchar el audio original, puede seleccionar Silenciar audio original para una traducción más clara. Para los que asisten en persona y desean un auricular de interpretación, pueden dirigirse al personal del distrito número 5, quienes le ayudarán a obtener uno. Gracias y esperamos que disfruten de la reunión. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Now, would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance led by John Laughlin?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Have some more for you every time. Okay, roll call there, sir.
Scott Foster, Chair. Beth Brazzoni.
Vice Chair for the moment here.
Sorry, I forgot Vice Chair.
It's okay. For that brief period of time I still have.
Carolyn Madden. Jill Lippett. Scott Nevin. George Cleese.
Here.
Jenny Nichols.
Here.
John Laughlin.
Here. Great, thank you. We have a quorum. On the agenda, I have a request that we move. Well, one is we're gonna push the chair report back to a future meeting. So that won't be there. And then I would like to move the number 11 appointment of vice chair up to.
Could you speak
right-
up a little bit, please?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'd like to move number 11, which is the appointment of the vice chair up to to after number 8. So it would precede the representative engagement strategies and tools. After number 8, we're going to take about 5-minute recess or whatever it takes. Because after the recess, we're going to be talking about our mission statement and the future meeting schedules and some goals and objectives and that kind of thing. And I realize that that's not always of interest to everyone. So we're going to take a break there. And if you, come on in, Carol. If you would like to take your leave at that point, you may do so. Could I have a motion for that, for bumping number 10?
My motion to bunt number 11 to number 10 to a future agenda item. And I motion to make number 11 number 9, the new number 9, make number 9, number 9, number 11.
Everybody got that?
I second
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes, agenda changed. Consent agenda, any comments on the minutes?
Yes, I'd like to make a comment on the minutes.
All right. Are these the minutes from the last meeting?
That's correct.
Okay, thank
You
you.
can say your name and where you're from.
Yes,
please.
I will. I'm Norma Jellison, and I'm a resident here of the Bodega Bay, longtime resident. And I'm just pointing out that under item number 8, where you had a discussion about the Wi-Fi, the broadband infrastructure grant, there's a comment under the 5th bullet about identified challenges, and it states AT&T's landline phase out. And I think this is a misnomer and a misidentification of landline phased out. I think that's a little premature to state it that way. And I want to make sure that everyone in this room understands that AT&T has just recently gone to the CPUC once again to request to be relieved of their responsibilities as the carrier of last resort. And they had a public meeting that had several additional public meetings, but the most recent one was on the 13th. And there is still an opportunity to comment on this rulemaking procedure. And I suggest that people do comment because having remaining landline availability to a majority of people who live in areas of the county that will never see broadband
Okay,
and do not have
thank
the
you.
ability, will really need to continue to have landline. So I'm just asking that the minutes be perhaps reworded
Okay,
to make it less seeming like it's a fait accompli that AT&T landline will no longer be available.
okay.
We're
we
pretty
will-
far away
we will-
from that.
We'll add the word after, AT&T's requested landline phase out.
Yeah.
Thank you for that comment. We'll be having public comments here shortly for, anyone who wants an extended question like that. So, anything else on the minutes? Thank you. So I'm just gonna put the word in after AT&T's, I'm gonna say requested, just answer. That bad, no. Bad for this. Thank you. You can just stand there.
That more. Wow.
There's the.
Very good.
We need a Boy Scout.
Oh,
Thank you. Yes, Girl Scout. Okay, so, okay, so other than that, is there a motion to approve the minutes as adjusted?
So moved.
Thanks, John.
Second.
Second by Beth. All in favor?
Aye.
And any opposed? Hearing none, consent agenda passes. Statements of conflict of interest from any of the board council members. Anybody have anything that concerns them regarding tonight's presentation?
I don't have any conflict of interest with this evening's presentation.
Nope, I'm hearing none. Okay, great, thank you. Council member comment on matters not listed on the agenda. This is usually where we go down the line here and give everyone an opportunity to give an update on what's going on in their area. So, Carolyn, would you like to start? Then anything happening that you need to report?
No, we're just, well, there is a group that is local just in our area.
We can't hear you.
There's a group, just local in our area, which is the Fort Ross area, that's gonna have an emergency expo at PPI sometime in June. And people are working on trying to be prepared for emergencies in the future, you know, fire, earthquake, or what have you. So
Which,
that's-
PPI?
yeah, it's Black Mountain.
Oh, okay, good.
The preserve out
Retreat center thing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how to say the name. It's a very long name. But yeah,
Okay, thank you. George? No, I don't have anything to add. Okay, thanks. John?
Not right now, thank you.
Nope, nothing right now. I have some updates. As many of you know, I wear several different hats in this community, and an agricultural advocate. And I've been working on the local coastal plan, not just for our community as a whole, but also emphasizing our ability to ranch and farm. On Good Friday, the Coastal Commission presented a new map package that was going to be voted on at their May meeting, which would have been this last week. The map package was titled Permit Appeal Jurisdiction Maps. But when you opened it up, it showed what appeared to be the permit appeal jurisdiction, and I'll define that in a moment. But underneath it, the mapping of wetlands, estuaries, ephemeral streams, anything that could possibly be wet at any time of the year. This caused great concern in the agricultural community. Myself and the ag team with the Farm Bureau started to do a deep dive on this, and we since the beginning of May, we've had a series of meetings with Permit Sonoma and with the Coastal Commission. And then groups of local ranchers, so that they were aware they needed to look at the maps and look at their properties. From these meetings, some really great things occurred. We were able to get the map package delayed. It was removed from the May agenda. And currently, as of yesterday, the Coastal Commission doesn't know when they're going to bring it back. They are agreed to redo the maps and redo the verbiage that went with it to make it more user-friendly and clear-cut as to what they're trying to accomplish. So what is a permit appeal jurisdiction? Very confusing term. What it means is if you were to go pull a permit for any kind of development in the coastal zone, if you're within these permit appeal jurisdiction areas, somebody could challenge your ability to get that permit. Your neighbor or just someone paying attention to these different permits that go through the county. If somebody challenges your permit, it goes to Permit Sonoma first. They tell them why, the challenger, why you should have the permit. If they don't like it, then it goes to the Planning Commission. If it doesn't pass muster the Planning Commission and these people still want to challenge, then it goes to the Board of Supervisors. If the Board of Supervisors denies the appeal, then they can appeal it to the Coastal Commission. So for ranchers or for anybody that's actively using that land, that's kind of scary to think about in conjunction with what appears to be mapped wetlands. So the good news in all of this, just for everybody, it doesn't matter if you're in the ag community or not, if someone wants to challenge your permit, it costs them upwards of $6,000 to do so. So people just can't drive by and challenge what you're doing on your property. What is also very important to understand, some of you in the audience, maybe you have smaller pieces of agriculture and here on the coast. And this map does not challenge your ability to graze, but what it does remind all of us, you're pulling a permit for anything that's considered a new development, a new animal use, a pasture that's not been grazed before that's now going to be grazed. Call Permit Sonoma and see if you need a permit before you do anything, so that you don't end up in a mucky mess. My other update for you is that one of my other hats I wear is in the Bodega Harbor subdivision. And we have been on the board of directors, and we've been working with the Wildlands Conservancy on their public gates. And we've been actively working on coming up with parking management plans and a way to make everybody happy in the process of the gate being open. And I think that as I think pretty much everybody's on their way to being happy right now. That's all I've been up to.
That's all?
Yeah, that's it for my update.
Okay, Timber Cove, we had a community meeting last month to follow up on why we conduit, I guess it's we conduit is how they say it. The presentation that was last month on last meeting on the Wi-Fi fiber to everyone's residence. We had a big community meeting. It was quite a success. A lot of good questions. It's going to be a real game changer for our community. It's going to change the demographic. It's going to affect property values. It's going to affect the economy. It's could save the grade school. Younger people move out here because they now have good internet to their home. So we're looking for that. Big article in Monday's Press Democrat in the business section about that. I would just give people advice, don't let the paper decide what photograph of you they're gonna use. So I'll just leave it at that. Okay.
Scott, may I ask a question?
Yes,
on
sir.
that? Given the extensive discussions that are emanating out of Washington and that ultimately are affecting state and county governments, is any of the funding for this project unsecured at this point, or could it be revoked by the current discussion of federal cuts?
I asked that question, I was told no. It may well affect future grants.
Yeah. Well, let's hope.
But, you know, at this point, it still looks good.
It's good. Thank you.
Okay, well, we've received word that Supervisor Hopkins. I hope nothing terrible has happened.
Nope, I can jump in. Hello, my name is Che Kasul. I am a director on Supervisor Hopkins' team. Unfortunately, I just got a text from her. She did mean to be here tonight. She's had a conflict come up that was unavoidable. So unfortunately, giving her updates, you have a poor second, which is going to be myself. So I'll run through those a little bit, but not quite as practiced or polished as Linda is. So Linda would like to pass on some congratulations, some thank you on the pushback that Beth Brazzoni, the ag community, and the Farm Bureau has done with the Coastal Commission maps. So much so that they kicked that back a month, I believe, so that we had a little more time to look at it, to consider how that's going to affect our community. Wonderful advocacy. Beth.
It's actually not agendized in the near future.
Perfect, there we go. You know, Linda did want to make a nod to the Bodega Marine Lab, the federal funding that has been pulled from that and how that's going to affect this community. We're currently looking at 13 full-time staff members that we know about that will no longer be employed there at the end of June. And pretty much all of the grad school positions will be eliminated. That for this community has a huge effect. That is an economic driver. That is folks that spend money in our stores, that live in our homes, and are members of this community. Besides, of course, the scientific community and the losses that we're experiencing there, and of course, the huge threat to the extinction of white abalone, they're all wet, without that lab. So I will personally say, please consider donating to the white abalone. I can say that as a government employee, please consider donating to the white abalone lab to keep that facility running and keep those animals alive so that we can, hopefully one day, my son's son might be able to dive for some white abalone, but it's not going to be anytime soon. On Tuesday, the sewer rate and capacity charges came forward to the board. Linda pushed back very strongly on the capacity charges and the higher sewer rates that would, of course, affect the Sea Ranch. That is still a developing project. We're gonna hear back from Sonoma Water on what their capacity charge proposal is. And then on the 4th of May, Linda attended the Blessing of the Fleet on the head boat. Pastor Pat was there, and you know, she just wants to make a nod to the other economic hit that this community has taken with the crab restrictions, the salmon piece, and then of course now with salmon opening up for a recreational, we all know June is not a good time on the water, and it is something that she and I are working very closely with our safety and parks folks on about how, if it's bad weather, we can try to deter people from going out, and how we can hopefully it's nice weather and support them and they are safe out there on the water. Also wanted to highlight within the last year, Supervisor Hopkins has funded the Mason's dock repair, slip fee waivers for our fishermen, and bringing Huffman to tour Bodega Bay and to push forward funding, which is still not successful, but we can hope, for the ice house. That is all that I have for updates from Supervisor Hopkins. If anybody has any questions for me, please do raise your hand. If you can state your name and where you're from.
Scott Palmer, Cruise Ranch. Jay for Linda. I understand that Sonoma County is applying for the California Digital Equity Program for funding, Cal DEP. On May 11, these federal funds were terminated. How was the coastal region to benefit had these funds survived?
Well, that would have been with Reconduit and a partnership with the EDC to explore how we could have used those. That being said, without those funds, without pursuing those grants, we really can't tell.
To answer the question that Chair Foster commented about the current funding for Reconduit.
Can't hear you.
It's believed that the current funding for Reconduit is safe. And they're applying for B as well.
We just wrote a letter of support for that grant.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Bueller.
Bueller? All right. Moving on.
Great, thanks. Section 7, public comments. Just a show of hands, who wants to make a public comment? Okay, great, thank you.
How many
Can
minutes?
I request that everyone uses their big booming voice tonight?
Yeah.
So that everyone can be heard. I know it's not always easy to do so. And would you like me to
Run the clock.
Yeah,
run the clock
Yeah.
for you? Okay,
3 minutes or 2? Chair?
3 minutes.
3 minutes? All right, thanks, better.
you're welcome.
Okay, Scott Farmer, Cruise Ranch. Our local men's group up in Timber Cove has been assisting individual members of our community in need. We have harvested and provided firewood, cleaned up forest debris, and assisted with burn piles. We do this as volunteers to help our neighbors. We all benefit. In this spirit, we offered local state parks our volunteer labor to reopen public trails that have become impassable as the forest reclaims them. Not only do visitors wish to hike these trails, so do we. I quote from their response, quote, "There are many steps between the current situation and volunteers using chainsaws and equipment to clear trails, not the least of which is that there is currently no plan to improve upon or reopen Fisk Mill. This piece of Salt Point will remain closed for the foreseeable future. In addition, there is not currently a maintenance supervisor in our sector. That means that there is no one to clear volunteers to do trail maintenance. Fire prevention has been prioritized over trail work. We will reach out with volunteer opportunities as soon as fire maintenance plans are done for both parks." End quote. Yes, fire fuels maintenance is critical. However, the north end of Salt Point, including Fisk Mill Cove, has dropped in priority, including fuels management. Pledges given to this body at the November 2023 Coast MAC meeting have been shelved. I thought you'd like to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am? Yes? Hi, please state name, where you're from.
I'm Annie Karuba from Bodega Bay.
Thank you.
So we need your help. We, represent the neighborhood of Bay Flat Road, which is upwards of 30 people. And our back access road has been closed since March of 2024. And so we have serious concerns because of this closure for our elders as well as people with medical issues. And this is nothing short of a serious life safety issue. If we have a tsunami, a fire, earthquake, and the sandhill that's behind the restaurant crumbles, we're gonna be stuck. Our compromised neighbors will not be able to walk out, and fire rescue wouldn't be able to get in. So what we're asking for these two issues stated is a concrete solution. There is a paved road at the south end of Bay Flat Road. If you're going down Bay Flat Road and you go straight ahead, that was and is a county road that has, years ago, a tree fell down. It just kind of got grown over, but it's actually a really good paved road. And they put up a guardrail for, I don't know why, but there's a guardrail there now. So what we're requesting is a very simple solution, just to reopen that for us to be able to have access down, and then that would take care of this huge problem that we've had for over a year. So we're requesting that to get that open. And then the second is the sand hill that continues to erode, is actually on county property. So, and it's 6 feet from the road is the county property. So we're requesting that a retaining wall be put in place. And again, for the safety of our neighbors, so we can be able to get in and out. And that is it.
Through the chair.
Thank you. I have a just clarity question, if information
Yes.
question. So the road you originally mentioned, we are not talking anything in the parkland. We're talking prior to the parkland.
It's straight ahead, and it used to be, I mean, I believe it still is a county road, but it's straight down Bay Flat Road. It's nothing to do with anything on the right-hand side, that access down by the water park.
Right,
Yeah.
and if you're looking at the park and you see the pylons, we're talking to the left of the white, left of the white pylons at the dead end of
Yes.
Old Bay Flat Road.
There's there's
okay.
a metal guardrail, but I walked it the other day. It would just take a small plot of concrete and we'd be good to go.
Excellent, thank you. And just one other quick clarification.
Yes.
You're not asking anything be done on any, regarding the tribes, that's just, let's look at new
We're
avenues.
letting all that go.
Yep,
We just
that are
want,
under
we just
con-
want to be able to keep our neighbors safe.
Thank you.
Okay,
Through
thank
the
you.
chair, if I may, and we have the contact information.
I do.
Let's set up a site visit, please.
I would love that. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. It's jealous.
I would like to say something briefly before Ms. Jellison takes the podium. We have a local legend in front of us here. I don't know if you all know this, but a well-known community advocate, in particular environmental advocate, a force to be reckoned with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm here, I just want to give you an information item, and, that is, it's with respect to a timber harvest plan that has recently been, promulgated by Bruce Berry of Cazadero. And, this, timber harvest plan is of interest to this organization, to the MAC, because it, affects Sheep House Creek, and Sheep House Creek is a tributary to the Russian River, and it also is a part of the Russian River coho broodstock recovery program. And it should be on your radar because this timber harvest plan will involve 1,100 acres, or about 50% of the Sheep House Creek watershed, and an adjacent property owner to Mr. Berry, to the Berry family, I'm sorry, will be promulgating another timber harvest plan of 360 acres. So together, these two harvest plans will affect 70% of the Sheep House Creek watershed, and therefore with a potential for extremely negative impacts and to the entire watershed and to the Russian River and to the salmon that are struggling in that watershed. And if you are interested in commenting, your comments would go to CAL FIRE. And the number of this is Berry's Not Farm 1-25 NTMP 00001-SON. Thank you.
Through the
Thank
chair,
you.
can you repeat your name real quick? I didn't quite.
Yeah, I thought I did at the beginning. Norma Jellison,
Thank you.
Bodega Bay resident. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any other public comments? Last chance. What are we gonna do next?
Presentations.
Presentations. Why we all came tonight. Mr. Moore, you present?
Our host.
Hi, I'm Jim Moore, President of the Range. Thanks for coming. This building has been here about 70 years, built by fishermen. It's being used by the Fishermen's Marketing Association. We have rental space to them. We have a food pantry every couple of weeks, which Patty will talk about. We have a jujitsu class for kids that is once a week. We have ping pong weekly and Tai Chi also. And last month we had a low-cost wedding reception here, 2 CERT training meetings, and a reunion, and we'll have a first reunion celebration, first communion celebration. But our most important role is in disaster response. And I'm really happy to say that in the last week, we received a $9,600 check from Linda's office, which will pay for half of a new 20 kilowatt generator for the building. So our old generator is only 7 kilowatts. It's not enough to run the building during an emergency. So we really appreciate that funding from the district, and we'll be getting that within a month. So the big project here is our kitchen project, which most of you have already heard about. During the Tubbs fire, we housed evacuees here and fed them, but then on the second day, we had to stop feeding them because we were not a commercial kitchen, and Sonoma County Public Health shut us down from doing that. So we still served over 3,000 people in the beach areas, Chancellor Ranch to Doran, up and down the coast and here. Food that was brought in from donating restaurants and other places throughout West County. But since 2019, we've embarked on a mission to create a commercial kitchen here, make our kitchen so that it's permitted by Sonoma County, which will allow us to cook during emergencies. It would also allow us to provide a business incubator, which could be used by any local citizens to make their own jam, smoke fish, or whatever they want to do to launch a business where they need to have a licensed kitchen. So in 22 to 23, and before that we did fundraising, and then from 22 to 23 approximately, we spent over $250,000 getting this, basically what you see behind you, which is the brand new plumbing and electrical infrastructure, brand new ADA compatible bathrooms. That's how much money it took just to do that phase of it. And so that being done, we started fundraising for stuff to actually take place in the kitchen. And we've been doing that for about a year. We've raised $115,000 to date of our $275,000 goal. The next stage of the project is to shut down the kitchen from October to January, this October through January, assuming we've raised the funds by then, and basically gut the kitchen and do the plumbing and electrical infrastructure, the fire suppression system, and all of that basic stuff in there by January of 2026. And then the final phase of the project from that, hopefully that date forward, will be actually buying the materials needed for a commercial kitchen. So that's about what I had to say. I appreciate everyone's help. CERT has become very involved recently. They realized that this kitchen is really needed in emergency response. So we've had a lot of activity from CERT, and really appreciate people up in the harbor getting involved most recently in our campaign. And it's really great to see harbor people coming down and interacting with people in the Grange. And some of this was actually started by our ping pong session that really brought those people down here and really made some really interesting connections just in the last year, which has been really fruitful and really great to see. So thanks for coming, and thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to?
Jim,
Yeah, sure.
does anybody, anyone on the council have any questions?
I have a question. Do we know, the total revenue from the variety show?
Variety show we had here last month was a really great success. It was headed by Joe Culpepper, who's a professional magician, lives 5 miles up the coast. We profited $7,000 from that event.
Wow,
Way more than we
excellent.
thought we would. Really great.
And will that come back?
I hope Joe wants to run it again. Yes, I hope so.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
John?
And it's terrific to hear the progress. Is there a point person for your fundraising activity, or are you the point person?
I guess I am at this point. We do have a new kitchen subcommittee that'll be So it's not just all me making these decisions, but for the funding, I'm still a point person for the.
Okay, great. That's helpful to know.
And also I should mention that we are able to take tax deductible donations. The Grange is a 501c9, so 501c10, so we can't do that directly. Just because of the Grange structure, but we partner with the California State Grange Foundation. They take the money and we can have them, they spend it on our behalf. So we do have a way of tax deductible donations, which all that's available on our website.
Just scan the QR code on the thermometer.
Right, the thermometer out front of the building is a big thermometer showing our progress, and there's a QR code that'll tell you how to donate.
Just for the people online, if you have a question, could you raise your hand? And I'll find out about it and call on you. Anyone else in the audience have questions? Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Who's up? Let's see. Dan Bundy. Bodega Bay Community Center, Ms. Bundy. Are you here?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Hi, Dan.
Hi. I'm Diana Bundy with the Bodega Bay Community Center and. Excuse me, I checked my notes. The community center was built about 45 or 46 years ago by locals, for locals, and to benefit local organizations, which we continue to do. Michael and I have been the stewards of the community center for 17 or 18 years now. We can't exactly remember. But with the help of our supporters, the community center is able to maintain the grounds, keep the building in good order, and present events. Some of the regular happenings are the Easter egg hunt, which is very good. We love that. Yoga classes, local children's birthday parties. We have the annual Shred-a-thon, which is in its 9th year, but that's coming up in June. The chili cook-off. We have the farmer's market, which is coming next weekend. And that is in its 16th or 17th year also, we can't remember. But there are workshops now and then, and we have interesting presentations now and then at the community center. We also have the local community garden for folks to garden for their veggies and flowers, because there's flowers there now, who don't have room to do that at home. So we have Michael, who takes care of everything. I'd like to applaud Michael, because he does all of the work. That's all of it. And he has rebuilt all of the garden boxes to raised beds, and he brings in compost every spring for all of the gardeners to use. Let's see.
So that's available to rent.
It is.
Just
There are no
for
plots available now,
information, yeah.
but yeah, folks who want to rent it are available. I mean, it's available, it's inexpensive. The community center has given space to CERT for one of their CERT boxes for the folks in the Ranch Road and Bay Hill area to use. We also have space for the halter shed, which has animal feed in case of emergencies. There's all kinds of animals will be helped from that. Oh, and we donate to nonprofits every fall, lots of them. That's good. Let's see. Again, we'd like to thank all of our supporters without whom we wouldn't be able to continue with the yoga classes, the community garden, and the children's parties all bring in a very modest amount. But with the donations from our supporters, who are very generous to the center, and with the farmers market, we're able to pay our bills, which are expensive. But the farmers market price for permits has tripled in the past year and a half. And the state now charges us, instead of 65 cents per vendor per market, it's currently $2 per vendor per market. So it's gotten quite expensive to be doing that, excuse me. We have, let's see. Oh, yeah, I should say that here's where the help request comes in. It costs us about $2,000 a year to keep the gravel in the driveway going. Michael does a lot of work filling in the holes and doing all that stuff, but we need the gravel. Steve Freeman does a great job, and he brings in gravel. It costs us about $2,000 a year, and we'd like the county to just help.
Let's you and I talk offline, and I have a grant, which I think might work for it.
Oh, wonderful, okay, still things work out. You just have to put it up there, wonderful, okay. Okay, and then the other person that I would like to thank is Merle Nelson. Merle does a fabulous job, he's the tree guy around, and he does a fabulous job keeping the tree branches and all that stuff off the driveway so we can get out there and use it, he's a really great guy. That's really all I have. Are there any questions?
And just wait, anybody on the council have a question? But it's good,
Keep doing the
audience,
great work.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you, Michael. Yes,
Mr. Farmer, what's your question?
Stand there. I'll stand next to you.
okay.
Scott Farmer, Cruz Ranch, a question and a request. Do you or any of the other people presenting tonight have a regular place where seniors can socialize in order to help reduce loneliness? That's my question, and my request is, our community, Timber Cove, had launched to create a community center. And what advice would you give them? I requested.
Oh, my goodness.
You have a
Word
secret.
of mouth helps a lot.
Yeah,
You have a building?
that's what we're working to try to make happen.
Michael, this might be your department.
Well, how about, could you maybe have that discussion after the meeting?
Yeah, that's,
Well, that's fine. I wanted it to sort of be made public, but we have.
No, well, we've made it,
I'm
but
sure it's
if you two want to have a discussion about how to put a community center together, that's a great idea.
Well,
Let's do it outside of this.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions online? Raise your hand.
Nice work. Yeah, thank you. Pastor Parks, Bodega Bay Church. You're up.
You bet.
Well, first and foremost, what an honor to be here tonight. Thank you so much for inviting our church to participate in this event. I really appreciate that. The Bodega Bay Church has been in existence since 1933. It's 8 years from our 100th year anniversary, and was initially part of a First Methodist Episcopal Church in Petaluma. They planted this church out here. We are now non-denominational. We're not associated with anyone. We are actually fully independent. We do have a really good working relationship with a much larger church in Santa Rosa called the Promise Center. Anyway, so we've been out here for a long time. I've been at the church for 38 years. Well, that here 38 years ago, and been in leadership ever since, but 24 of those years as pastor. Before that, I was police chief in Petaluma, which was a lot of fun too. So what exactly do we do? Well, first and foremost, we're a church. We do weddings and funerals and services every Sunday. We have kids' church. We have a Bible study on Tuesday nights. We share the gospel. We try to impact our community just with God's love. And that's what we try to do each and every day. So we do weddings at the church. We do them at the beach. We do memorials. We've done them here. We've done them at our church. And all that, by the way, is at no cost. We don't charge for ministering to the community. That's just something that we do. So if you need somebody needs a wedding done or a memorial service, we don't charge for that. It's something we do as a service. If you rent the building, that's another story, but it's not expensive. It's a lot cheaper than some of the other venues in town, but we're not here to promote that business. We also come alongside families who are going through crisis. We do that by helping with food insecurity. We do that with helping provide gas and utility bills and those things that people come under need for. The church steps up. We have travelers who go through who need gas. We provide gas for them. If they run short on groceries, if we don't have something in our pantry, we provide that. So We use donated funds to support our community. We come alongside families who have lost loved ones. We've had fishermen out here who have been lost at sea. I think the first time Dick contacted me was when young Ryan Kozlowski went down, Merlin Kolb, other fishermen. We've come alongside the families. Most recently, when the family lost 5 loved ones at sea, early in the crab season, we came alongside that family. We held memorial services for them in Sacramento. Again, no charge, it's just we come alongside them. Our local restaurants, Patty and others, came alongside them as well, and we coordinated getting them fed every day for a week. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. We still have a relationship with one of the families. We did fundraising for 2 of them through the church website, raised several $1,000s to come alongside them. And all that came from within this community. So we're a resource that coordinates efforts in the community and tries to help families in need in various ways. We're part of a faith-based network here in Sonoma County to provide disaster relief. We work with Sonoma County FBO, which Linda would be familiar with through Adam Peacock. And we've done a lot of training with them. During the Tubbs fire in 2017, we worked alongside Patty, providing housing and meals until we got shut down, which everyone did. We haven't built a commercial kitchen yet. Maybe that's next in line, but we housed 67 people that first night, fed them breakfast, lunch, dinner, took care of those families, something we just stepped up and wanted to do, and 40 people, up to 40 people the remainder of the week. And we have a spot on the board of Waves of Compassion, which we'll be presenting next. We work very closely with Patty and their board, and if they have a local need that they can't facilitate and make happen, they call us and we try to do it for them and alongside them. We provide space every Thursday night for Alcoholics Anonymous. A women's group meets there at the church. They do that every Thursday night. We charge them a very small, like $10 a meeting, not very much, to come and do that. And that's just to pay for the gas being turned on and off. And believe me, it doesn't come anywhere close to what that is, but we want to serve alongside them and help them. And we do that. We've also coordinated, along with other churches and local law enforcement, a number of events, active shooter events. We coordinated one at the Hessel Church 2 years ago, the largest joint response for law enforcement, public safety in Sonoma County was largely coordinated by our church. Beth was out there serving food. Hope said I did this kind of training for 25 years internationally, and my son happened at the time to run the local SWAT team for Sonoma County. So we put together a major event that benefited churches, but also first responders in our community, so they could come out and have an event with live action and people happening at the time to keep churches safe, to keep people safe, and to give law enforcement and our first responders training and those kind of events. We participate in Adopt the Highway. We clean up the stretch from just below the church up to Bean Avenue, and we just did a cleaning in honor of Earth Day. We also provide a venue for school plays. The Bodega Bay School is using us next week for their school play. We've hosted PTA events, movie nights there in conjunction with the PTA to have a place for our kids to do fundraising, but also come for a fun event. Just hosted there at the church on our big screen, and we have a blast. And we support those organizations financially when they come to do that. We've had hosted events for our first responders. Our restaurants pitched in. We've had all our first responders, Coast Guard, Fish and Game, CHP, Sonoma County Sheriff's Parks Department. So we like to participate in our community. We strongly support our local fishing community. Dick will call me if he's got an issue, if he needs something, and we will step up in any way we can. And that includes weddings, memorials, whatever they need, financial support. We're at your side. We want to help you guys. And that's the heart of our church. We have a heart for a community. In addition to that, we also serve outside of our community internationally. We have a school that we fund. 3 of our church board members are also board members for Hope Malele Africa. It's an organization that serves kids in need in developing countries. We work in East Africa, Burundi, Rwanda, Kenya, and Uganda. And we support a school in Ngozi, Burundi, where 400 kids get an education and 2 hot meals a day. Burundi's the 2nd poorest nation in the world, and we step up and support them. So we like to think we're a very small church, but we like to leave a big footprint if we can. And recently we provided leadership training at Alliance Redwoods for indigenous youth. through a program that they had there. Unfortunately, that's just been shut down, which is too bad. But we worked alongside their leadership to provide leadership training for Indigenous youth on servant leadership. Also recently connected on a fishing boat with, or on Rick's boat with a local rabbi, and he and I had coffee last week, and we're going to work with him to try to promote interfaith cooperation and peacekeeping within our communities. Through Beth and others, we invited Braver Angels into our church. They've hosted 2 events there, and they're an organization that works to bridge the political divide in our country. We are nonpartisan. We want to work alongside organizations that want to promote peace within our county and bring red and blue, Republicans, Democrats, whatever, together for peaceful reconciliation and to work together for the common good of our community. So we do that as well. We're very closely tied with Alliance Redwoods, also with other Christian camps in the area. So those are the kind of things we do. And we just want to be involved. We're not here to ask for money. We're here to tell you we want to help. But we may have a point in time, we want to put it in a bathroom downstairs. We do really want to get ready for disaster relief and have a downstairs bathroom and a shower at some point, so we can serve in times of disaster in a better way. We talked about senior events. Come on out. We'd love to have you. I'll give you a key. Come and host your event. We'd love to have you there. We want our church to be used as a community resource, and we do have a piece of property we talked about to do a community center. So that's what Bodega Bay Church does. I love it. When I started there, I was a police captain in Petaluma. My co-pastor later was a police lieutenant in Sebastopol, but our pastor at the time was an ex-con from Alcatraz. So I knew I found my home when I walked through the door. And it's been just a rocket ride ever since. And he was a terrific community servant, spent 60 years in ministry. We are about love and hope and bringing peace into this community. And I was a biology major, so I'm absolutely devastated to hear about the Marine Lab being shut down. That's horrible. My major was marine biology, and to hear that is terrible. So if there's any way we can help in that regard as well. So that's what we do. That's who we are. And we're blessed to be part of your community. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Chair, if I may, just to correct real quick, the lab isn't getting shut down, only the abalone lab and some other parts of the lab.
Well, you and I as app divers, that's not good.
Exactly,
That's not good.
yeah.
Are there any questions from online? No. Okay, anything from, any questions here?
I have a question. And I may have missed this, my hearing's not great, but did you talk about the food pantry?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, we do a food pantry. We're alternate to actually to Waves of Compassion. They do every other Wednesday, basically. We do the second, fourth, and if there's a fifth Wednesday, we do that as well. We provide food when people come in. We also help people with medical expenses at times. But yeah, one of the big things that we just started doing a couple of years ago, and Patty and I have talked many times, they are great. They do an amazing job, and it's just an honor to work alongside them and do our part. So.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
Yeah.
Mr.
Real
Farmer.
quick, are you at risk of losing any federal funds that you've received in the past?
We don't receive any federal funds. We're not holding anybody. It's our congregation that comes up with the money, and guys like me get to work for free.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Waves of Compassion. Patty Ganuccio, kick off.
I'll go first and then.
Hey, Betty.
Patty Ginocchio, Vice President, Waves of Compassion. And I have to say, it was in this room that Waves of Compassion was born. And we had a town hall, and it was suggested that we have a pantry. So we started talking in 2016 about doing this pantry, and our president, Carolyn Connors, the Energizer Bunny, who is moving forward, took that idea and got a group of people together to make Waves of Compassion Foundation. And we held a fundraiser in 2017 and got enough money to start the pantry.
And that was about 2 weeks before the Tubbs fire. And so we pivoted and began to purchase tents, pillows, blankets, food, socks, underwear, and all kinds of clothing. We had over 3,000 people show up in one night into Bodega Bay. And Waves of Compassion, along with the Chamber, the Blue Water Bistro, Linda Hopkins, we all just put our heads together and we serviced all the beaches because they were on the beaches. And here we had cots lined up in this entire place and at the church. And so we just jumped headfirst into it. I know we made mistakes, but we sure learned an awful lot and hope we never have to do it again. How's that? But from that, we decided we were going to move forward with our pantry, and our pantry is our biggest event. And it is twice a month, and we serve 300 families per month. How many individuals do you know?
It's about 450 per pantry.
Yeah, so almost 1,000 a month. And we provide this for Bodega Bay, Valley Ford, and Jenner. So it encompasses the coast. And we get questions, who can come to the pantry? Well, anybody can come to the pantry. It doesn't matter. Most of the pantry, though, are guests that come through are working for the restaurants, they're working for the vacation rentals, and after they pay their rent, they cannot afford groceries. And you should see the amazing food that we give out. And Suzanne is part of the ordering team, but approximately 35 pounds, 30 to 35 pounds of groceries. We're talking fresh vegetables, fresh fruit. And we choose it. We do a little bit different than the church. We do a drive-through. We purchase from Grocery Outlet is also one of our partners for bananas, avocados, bread. Okay. And so that is probably the biggest part of our expenditure is that pantry. And somebody asked about the impact of the cuts. Redwood Empire Food Bank is our partner for a majority of the food. And they've recently lost about $750,000 in grants. And we won't see that impact for a couple more weeks, I think. And then we'll start to see how that impacts us. So I can't speak to that just yet, but we know that it's coming. Not all of our food comes from that grant, but we have applied for other grants as well. So, you know, we're all kind of sitting there wondering what's going to happen. You know, I listened to Pat Parks, and I have to say that in this audience is a group of individuals who have supported Waves of Compassion in every way possible to make us be able to offer all of these programs that we offer. And Pat, you blew me away with what you do, because I knew a part of it, but I didn't know all of it. So, you know, I talk to Pat a lot, and he makes me believe, as I always tell. Some of the other programs we offer is, who knew that pre-K was so expensive? If you make over the state average for receiving benefits for pre-K, there's a gap that it can cost up to $650 a month. And so Waves of Compassion will subsidize to help all children be able to afford and go to the preschool. And I have a little granddaughter at preschool, thank you, Alicia. And it is definitely something that she races out the door to go to. So, you know, it is a valuable part of our community. The other really important, but least known about what we do, other than, you know, in partnership with some of the folks here that have experienced disasters, is Alicia. My daughter started Feed It Forward at our restaurant. And our customers started donating a burrito, a brisket sandwich to someone who could not afford a meal. And it became so popular, especially during when the fishermen couldn't afford food, that we were feeding about 8 people a day free meals. They can order anything off the menu. And that was all based on our customers feeding it forward. So we thought, how do we expand this? We brought 9 other restaurants into the Feed It Forward program, and Waves of Compassion has pre-funded those programs, so they can offer it and start the program with our money. And that has, you know, it's still trying to take off because people are just like, a free meal? Well, how do I ask for it? I'm embarrassed, you know, and all I have to do is be hungry. It's all. And now all they have to say is feed it forward and they get a meal. And our partners are simply amazing throughout the community. We even have a Stero Cafe in Valley Forge, so we've reached beyond the town of Bodega Bay. So if you ever want to know all the restaurants, if you go to our website, you'll see the list of the restaurants on there. The other is the emergency grants that we give out. So, you know, I received a call one night from someone who had pneumonia, his wife had cancer, and he had no money left. He had to drive his wife to San Francisco to get treatments. He had no money left, nothing. So we were able to give him, we give 300 for a single person, 600 for a family. We were able to get him a Costco gas gift card. And when you see those types of the help, and he still calls me to this day to thank me for making that difference. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it made the difference for him. And, you know, it's really touching. So emergency grants are open to anybody in the community who needs a little extra money, but we don't give cash. We give it to their PG&E bill, their gas bill, their their rent paid directly to the landlord. And that way we kind of help them talk about their money, how let's spend it this way, what are you gonna need next month? We offer them the Feed It Forward program as well to help them in other ways beyond just the cash that we give them. I run the diaper program, and I've been in Bodega Bay my whole life, and we might have had 1 or 2 babies, you know, once in a while, kind of here, there, and everywhere. And when my daughter and we moved here full time, I wanted to keep her here so we could enrich that younger generation to stay into Bodega Bay, because they can't afford to buy a house here. They can't afford to live here. So another way we started, as soon as I had a granddaughter, I went, oh my goodness, diapers are so expensive. So then shelter in place hit, and I don't know how, but we got 20 babies out of shelter in place. And so we provide diapers to, and who's giggling over there? So we provide diapers and wipes for all children in diapers and pull-ups. And every month I call them, I say, what size are you? What brand do you want? And we supplement what the Redwood Empire offers diapers, but a lot of those diapers cannot be used because of sensitivities. They're, you know, probably mass produced, or, you know, we're trying to know what the ingredient is that we're giving to the children. So that's a big one. The other thing that we're doing right now, which is so much fun, and if anybody wants to participate, is the swim program. For the past 20+ years, Bodega Bay PTA and Carolyn Connor, because she worked there, has put together swim lessons at the Bodega Harbor. And this year, I think we're gonna have our biggest year, because all of the toddlers and the infants 6 months and up, and the coastal communities in the Bodega Bay School District, and the grandchildren that live in the harbor are all gonna be joining us in the pool. And we have 2 instructors this year. It's 2 weeks long, and it is the most fun you've ever had. Water's cold though, just giving you a heads up. Last but not least, one of the things that I am very proud to support, and I have to say that Ways of Compassion is built by the community, for the community. It is supported by the community. When we raise our hand and we ask for something, this community comes together. I mean, even in the Tubbs fire, we saw semis pulling up because somebody called a jacket company and said, we need jackets. You know, we got 500 jackets. But this community is so amazing. And when we put the word out that our fishermen were suffering, and, you know, an example of our fishermen, and I get a call and the fisherman had lost his place to live and he was living in a storage container. Now, that is the reality of, you know, the depth that we're following with no salmon season, reduced crab season, reduced pots. We've supported, you know, the fishermen with the guidance and advice from Dick Ogg for a variety of things. And it continues every year to be more needs that we're seeing. So I'll let Dick talk about a lot of that, but I literally know the size of every fisherman in our fleet because we bought shoes, bibs, jackets, hats, and gloves. And we used the Grange the first year as the distribution point, and it was a sea of orange. And I can't tell you how many thanks that we get from those fishermen and the support. We had somebody come in our restaurant the other day who had been using the Feed It Forward program when they had no income, and he had money and he paid for his meal. So that to me is true community and true style. So my ask, of course, we always have a shortage of two things. Do you know what they are? Volunteers. And the other one is donations. And if you go to Waves of Compassion's website, we have a donate page and you can donate there. But, you know, we love our community and we always appreciate everything you do to support us. Are there any questions?
What is the website address?
wavesofcompassionfoundation.org.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I have these brochures, if anybody would like them, that goes over some of our services that we provide.
You want to mention our struggling ESL program?
Oh, okay. Struggling because we offer it, we pay for it, but we only have what, 3?
Yeah, between 1 and 4 students.
Yeah, 1 in 4 students, and it's at the Bodega Bay School, and we also do a Zoom one as well. So if you know of anybody who would like to learn English or speak it a little clearer.
Interpreter, we have an audience.
Yeah, yeah. So,
They're reaching up to me.
yes, we are gonna be asking all of the businesses in Bodega Bay and our coastal region if they have employees that would like to participate. It's not cheap, so we don't want to just offer it to a couple. We would like to have more people attending.
But it's free to them.
It's free to them.
Patty, just to point out too, that I think you guys are still doing this, and we are as well, and that I see Kelly is here, and we all, at Christmas time, we're providing gifts for the kids as they come through as well, and really good
I think
gift
the whole
giving, and we have
community
people,
donates to that.
you guys are part of that, we're part of that. Just very cool things that you guys are doing. It's amazing.
Well, you know, it's Kelly's baby at Christmas. So she puts a lot of work into putting that together and the community donates to it.
I just finished my 30-second crochet hat to donate for them. Yeah. Take a little break.
Patty, before you
I have a question. So tell us what the volunteers would do. For if people volunteered to help Waves of Compassion, what kind of work would they be doing?
So first off, that needs the most always is going to be the food pantry. And we're always looking for strong backs because it comes in big bins and it needs to be carried and sorted. So volunteers for the food pantry. I'm also seeking volunteers to help with the swim lessons. We need those adults going, don't run around the pool. And don't go in the sauna. And, you know, those kind of things. So for 2 weeks, 4 hours a day, in July, if you want to ask me more about that later. And almost every one of our programs that we offer, like I could really use somebody to go to the businesses and hand out our ESL flyer. I mean, that's a volunteer that I could, you know, we could really use some help with. What else?
You covered it.
Yes.
And you serve food from private home gardens.
We don't.
forbidden, or you choose not to?
Part of the problem is that we're feeding 160 people and we are pre-packing the food for them. So it would be a lot from anybody's single garden. And then the rest of it, of course, is just quality control. We're not forbidden,
Okay.
but we don't.
Sounds like in a couple of months you might be interested.
Yeah.
It will be a discussion.
Question on Wednesdays, of what hours do you need the volunteers from? Because I'll put the word out, but. I can send that information to you. Okay. It starts at
12:45. We have two shifts. The first is from 12:45 to about 2:30. And the second is from about 2:45 until 5.
Okay.
And it's pretty different work on each shift. The heavy lifting is more on the first shift.
Any other questions?
Thank you for your support. We really appreciate it.
Dick Ogg.
Mine will be quick. Thank you. My name's Dick Ogg, and I am the president of the Potato Bay Fishermen's Marketing Association, which was formed primarily to negotiate prices to, help the individuals get a better amount of more money for the product that we're bringing in. I'm trying to get my head together here. So, as the seasons and where we are right now, our association is kind of disoriented, I should say, it's very difficult for us to, organize the guys because there's not a lot happening. We don't have much of a crab season. We have no salmon season. Our regulations have been regulated to the point where we can't really access almost any of the products that we can provide for you. So it's really hard to get unity back. But and this is statewide. It's not just in the database. So the fishermen in general are having a very, very difficult time up and down the coastline. The one thing that I do for our people is to provide information. Try and make sure they understand what the regulations are, what we're up against, what we need to coordinate, ourselves together to try and, protect ourselves so that we at least have an opportunity to provide a resource to you that belongs to you. It's your product. And we're the only ones that have access to that. So, it's really tough right now for all of the fishermen, and without our community support that we have, I don't know what we do. Without Pat, without Patty, without Suzanne, the fishermen, Jim, everybody. Well, we're just, I can't say enough about, being able to reach out to anyone at any given time, and they're right there. They're there to help us all the time. Ways of compassion. Half the guys wouldn't have gear to be able to fish if we didn't have, ways of compassion there to help us. The guy, my own crew, were able to come from a long ways away. Santa Cruz and actually Half Moon Bay. And without, ways of compassion and Patty and all of them, they wouldn't have income. They wouldn't be able to, they were able to give them lunch, they were able to help support, our work that we had to do to get ready for the crab season. So all I can say is that, it's been amazing. The county has been there to protect us and help us with the fee waiver program. It's just great. I can't say enough about all the support from the community in general. So mine's short, but thank you all.
Thanks. Thank you. There might be some questions. Any questions online? Raise your hand.
Any questions from the audience?
Yes, miss.
I do have one question. Is there any forecast if
for when things may turn around, or start to see something?
Well, we're in the process of trying to get that to happen, obviously. You know, it's really hard when there's so many. The crab industry is our primary income, okay, and because of the way the migratory patterns are with the humpback whales, it minimizes our opportunities to begin during the time that we could get probably the highest price for our product. So from November to January is when we should be able to provide that resource to you.
Right.
That all has to go through a means of kind of renegotiation, I should say, you know, so that we can kind of reevaluate the data. So that we're able to kind of hopefully find a way to begin sooner. But that's a big hurdle, and that's one that we're working on and have been working on for the last 7 or 8 years. So
How about the new traps that allow,
I'm sorry,
how about the new crab pot traps
The-
that allow the mechanism is different. I can't describe it myself.
that's a great question. And I mean, I've got a lot of detail on that. The concept of the alternative gear is very similar to an auto driving car. Okay, so the idea behind that is that it won't entangle any animals, right?
Right.
That's the idea.
Right.
Just like auto driving cars, would you think that they're not going to have, you know, they're gonna eliminate accidents? No, you know, so I mean, yes, there's options, there's ways that we can continue and extend the season. But beginning in the beginning of the season is our primary goal. That's what we need. And that's what we have to work on and change the thresholds and readjust things a little bit so that we're able to start sooner and provide that resource to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Suzanne Martin, and I was asked by the head of the Bodega Bay Fire Foundation to speak for 2 minutes, but I don't think we're on the agenda.
So what happened was I did reach out to Bodega Bay Fire Foundation and we had a lot of back and forth and we just never heard back, but it's all right. It's not agendized, but can we allow it as public comment?
Yeah, nobody's voting on anything.
Right.
Yeah.
I really just. extend
Absolutely,
public
please do.
Thank you. As I said, I'm Suzanne Martin.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, can we just give her a chance to speak?
Real loud.
Suzanne Martin with the Bodega Bay Fire Foundation and the Compassion and the Fish Festival. So it's such a small town that we all represent a variety of groups. We are an all-volunteer board under the leadership of Ray Hill, a longtime firefighter and EMT who just retired last week from Sonoma County Fire. The Fire Foundation is a carryover from the old Bodega Bay Firefighters Association, which was dissolved when we drew a lot of money from merchandise. Very popular sweatshirts and hoodies and, cups and everything else with the logo and the shark on it. People loved it. We don't have that advantage to rely solely on individual donations and on our annual raffle, which is taking place. Last year, we invested about $30,000 back into the community. We favor people, humanitarian causes, and students, and in particular, we try this on things that may slip through the net of other organizations. They don't meet the criteria, they're too small to apply for a grant, those kinds of things. So we're kind of that safety net, or we try to be. Examples in 2024, supported casino night for the school, the Easter egg hunt. Thank you, Alicia. We sent 7 students to the Jenner Sea Camp for the summer. We supported the fire extinguisher recharging and replacement for the commercial fishermen in conjunction with Waves of Compassion. The Christmas toy drive, it's all the things that you've already heard about. We're just simply woven into the structure of the community. Thank you so much. We're not looking for anything from the county at this time, but stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing any questions from the audience? Okay, well, I'm gonna call a recess right now. Let everybody take a little break and then we'll come back. We'll continue the agenda. Pick 5 or so.
It's the wineries make it look better, it's the wealthier place. Well, there's that.
Do you need help getting them round up?
Hey, appreciate that. Absolutely, love to have you.
All the people laugh at
Because they understand the apology. It's not.
All right, the recording is back up, everybody, just so you know.
More about the safety stuff. Okay, absolutely, this has to happen. No, not to, no, poor thing.
Okay.
No, not now.
Meeting is back in session. Thanks for staying there, Mr. Farmer.
Gotta keep you guys honest.
Appreciate you.
First item here is,
Can I give some backstory on this?
I'd love to hear that.
Okay.
Do you have a nomination in mind?
Well, yeah, but so I do have a nomination in mind. Normally this would all be done once, it would all be done in January or November or January. I very much wanted to see through as the chair, the finalization of the LCP, which happened in February. At that time, I was very willing to hand over the reins of chair to Scott and then to step back for someone else to be vice chair, but the person I wanted to nominate, all of the paperwork hadn't been appropriately finalized by the county, and it is now. So I would like to nominate John Laughlin as the new vice chair of the CMAC.
Is there a second?
Oh, I said.
We have to ask if there's any other nominations.
Oh, are there any other nominations? Anybody else want to do this?
No.
Any speeches? Speeches,
I'm sorry,
speeches?
Oh, no.
speeches?
No speeches, but, you know, I've got to know, obviously, Beth and Scott and, you know, Ginny. We've at least had one reasonably long car ride where we exchanged a fair amount of information. In full disclosure, I'm a relative newcomer, you know, particularly Bodega Bay. My wife and I have lived here now for 3 years full-time, and it is the place that our daughter got married and our son proposed, you know, in the last 24 months in our front yard. And so, you know, this is a place we want to spend the rest of our, you know, our adult mobile lives, maybe beyond mobile, we'll see. I run a company, I run a software company, so I'm still working at my advancing age. But part of the plan is, because this is where we want to be, and you just sit here tonight and listen to the commitment of, you know, this community, and I've been to Timber Cove, you know, listening to the work that was being done, you know, particularly for some of the services that, you know, the community needs. For me, it's an opportunity to think about my transition because I want to spend less time working and more time giving back. And so, you know, you all don't really know me. There's a certain leap of faith. I would take it very seriously. You know, it's not I'm a doer. You know, at 68, still running a good sized company, but the plan is to spend more time giving back. And I think this is a place that there may be an opportunity to contribute and do a little bit of good, you know, as an individual. So that's the motivation. And I thank you, Beth, and Scott and Ginny. And we have to have car rides now. So. But anyway, that's the story. And so I, you know, if you all are supportive, I'm certainly committed to giving it a real go and working closely with Scott and Jay, you know, to continue to make progress.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the speech.
Thank you.
Oh, great.
Great.
All right, well, you know, I realize it's, you know, we all don't really know each other yet.
We have a motion in a second. All in favor?
Who's the second?
I'll second.
Carol.
Okay.
Carolyn, second.
Thank you.
Gotta get her in the books. All in favor?
Yeah, thank you. It's very generous.
Well, congratulations. Now you're vice chair.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now the bad news.
Bad news.
I'm just a rep now.
You're the ex-vice chair.
I'm still the past chair for the end of the year.
So do you guys switch places?
We did.
No,
Oh.
no, you meant now we switch.
Now then maybe at the end of the year.
Meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean, I thought you meant physically. Be next to Scott as the chair.
Yeah, I get to
Let's
sit
get-
at the end of the
let's-
table next
Let's
time.
get through the end of the year and see what happens. All right,
Okay, what's
Thank you,
that?
John. Thank you.
thank you.
Right.
The last thing we're gonna talk about, and I wanted this to be just a bit of a discussion, is, our mission statement is up for review, and John's been working on it. And I asked him to not hand out the draft until we had a little discussion, because I didn't want that to necessarily frame the discussion. Because the mission statement is, it's really what we can do, what we're allowed to do, maybe what we should do. But that's just a piece of paper. There's a lot of flexibility in how we can implement that and what we want to achieve as a group and as an individual. And at least for me, hearing what was at this meeting and the last meeting about how the community pulls together to do things, I just wanted to hear from each one of you why you're doing this and maybe what you hope to accomplish. Just as a means of, I would like us all to kind of be on the same sheet of music. Is what we're doing here, because we're here for 2 hours every other month. And then there's 1,400 hours where nothing happens. And then there's 2 more. And what happens in the other 1,400 hours, I think, is probably more important than what happens in the meetings. And each one of us comes from a different community, different priorities, different needs. And I hope to, as we move the meeting up and down the coast, to highlight those needs like we do today. And so I want to give each of you guys the opportunity to make sure that that happens. And so I'd just be interested in hearing, I know I didn't give you a heads up about this, but just a brief why you're doing this and what you hope to accomplish. Anybody want to start?
You should start.
Well, I've debated why our area is here. Because we're not really the coast and we're just private landholders on a dirt road. So a lot of things don't apply to us. A lot of things skip over us, like the whole weed conduit. Just like the line was just like, we're on the wrong side of the line, it doesn't include us. And a lot of things don't include our area because we're so remote. But at the same time, when things happen on the coast, they impact us. So it's hard I mean, part of me feels like I should just come and do what Scott does and sit and listen, because not a lot applies to our specific area. It's a question I haven't really solved.
Okay, well, this is an opportunity to bring that out.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to
Because I talked to Wanda
because you
about
do have, there are things that you guys can use help on, sure there are.
There are, but we're so spread out.
Mhm.
Like there's 3 different ranches in our area and it's like a half hour, 45-minute drive to another ranch sometimes. You know, it takes me 30 minutes just to get to the pavement, much less another half hour, 45 minutes to get here. And so because we're so spread out, it's hard for us as a group of people that live in the same area to find common ground. Like we were talking about a community center. there's nothing that really brings us together as a community anymore. We're all just individuals. The thing that I spoke about when you first asked what was going on in our area, that's just like a new group of people trying to bring some cohesion to our area, trying to get people to think about emergency services, what we can do to work together. But that has nothing to do with the MAC group at all. And it wouldn't really include people from the coast. So, and it's a question. I spoke with Wanda about it too, who's the alternate. And she's kind of like, well, you know, it's good to go, but at the same time, it really isn't about anything that we do or is in our neighborhood.
Okay, well, I'd encourage you to keep with Wanda, and if there is something, then please bring it forward. And if you need something and you want to bring it to the MAC, that'd be great, just for visibility's sake. Even if it's something that, you know, we can't necessarily do anything about, if it's a visibility thing that's important to you guys, that'd be good. You've got Che here who can, who's your contact, or if there's something the county can help you on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, so just, I understand what you're saying. So say being in the next MAC, the river MAC, for instance, that wouldn't really make any difference either.
No.
It's still the
It's
same
like,
issue, right?
we're not really part of Casadero, even though that's our address,
Mhm,
but our phone goes through Timber Cove and Jenner.
mhm.
And we're really far, I mean, we're part of the Fort Ross School District, we get taxed in the Fort Ross School District, but it's like, it's a long ways, it's a long drive. So, yeah, we're in like a no man's zone.
How many people live in that vicinity?
Hundreds.
I would say 400 maybe, but I'm not really sure. We're all really pretty far spread out. I mean, my closest neighbor's like a half a mile away.
No, I'm just curious
Yeah.
because I don't, from the population density and kind of,
It's filling up. All the parcels are now lived on pretty much. When I moved there 35 years ago, not all the parcels were lived on. They're all 40-acre parcels, 40, 80 acres.
So through the chair, if I may, I think this would be a really helpful conversation for the three of us to have. It's just about like what the community looks like and how you feel that the MAC could be helpful. I just want to reiterate the chair's thoughts of what is the MAC to you and how do you want to use it? Is kind of.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I'm not sure actually what we are out where we are. I'm not really sure how MAC can really help or not. I don't know.
So let's grab a coffee and let's codify it and figure it out.
Sounds good.
Could I ask a favor?
Okay, but I want to make this a discussion. You're the audience,
I
right?
am,
Okay,
but I have
Sure.
a lot to share and I'm wondering if it's possible to change the format since there's only one person in the audience so that I could share something with what she's saying from the experience I have. It's up to you.
if you can make it brief, sure, go ahead.
Well, that's okay. I'll wait to the end.
Okay, I'd like to hear what everybody has to say first. George?
Well, initially, I was told that the county was gonna give me my own 747.
Oh.
But then I never heard anything more about that, so.
That's how we
I
get you.
I've kind of given up on that.
Can you follow up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guitar.
Yeah. I've always had a natural bent and interest in, although what we do here isn't strictly politics, but it's it has political components to it, and we interact with Che and Linda and everybody, so there is a political element to it. And I heard a lot from Marty Campbell, who you knew, who was on this, particularly when the LCP was getting fashioned and everything, and so I'd hear bits and pieces from her, not on a regular basis or anything. And in fact, it was Marty who suggested I apply for the MAC and everything, and then I began that application, and then kind of dropped the ball, and then, of course, I ran into Marty again. She said, I haven't seen your application, heard anything about it. And I said, oh, yeah, I was reading my back issues of Procrastinators Quarterly. And I said, oh, I'm not sure, Marty. And she said, well, you know, if you do this, it was sort of, it was half joking, but maybe half true. She said, you know, she pointed out somebody, she said, there's somebody who isn't very fond of you that would be really annoyed if you were on the MAC committee. I said, okay, Marty, I think it was her way to kind of go a little bit, not entirely untrue. But really the thing was I've become more impressed as particularly in the last few years of how important transparency is in how we govern ourselves, and in fact, whether we govern ourselves or somebody else governs for us. And I've just, like, the last couple of times, I've learned a tremendous amount from our presenters, you know, things and people doing things and organizations and volunteer groups and everything, doing things that I had no awareness of. I've lived up in Sea Ranch for a while, but I haven't, you know, Bodega Bay, for instance, has been where I drove through, and you know, I know where the cleanest restrooms are in Bodega Bay. That's important when you're driving up here. But I know a few good places to eat. I don't by any means know everything, but this was just like, tonight was just like a small education to me, and very impressive, because all those organizations were truly organic.
Yes.
They weren't formed by some a municipality or the county or what. It was just people who really both saw a need and said, we're gonna put forth some effort and figure out what we can do here. And you know, we all remember what was it? That book is probably been about 20 years ago, Bowling Alone, if you remember that, which was sort of tracked the demise of people interacting with each other in greater isolation. And, you know, we see it every day when you. Oh, hi, you know, I'm sorry, I'm busy, you know, see that, and how volunteerism in some quarters has really declined. And here I see it, like these four or five presentations here, it's like, okay, it's thriving. It's thriving here. There's a group of really committed people who are actually doing something and making a difference. That appeals to me tremendously. I would, John, I would echo your thoughts that it's, you know, it's you know, however many years we've got left, you know, maybe statistically, I probably got 15 years left, statistically speaking. So what am I going to do with my 15? That's X number of days. You know, it's just shy of 7,000 days. You know, what am I going to do with my remaining 7? I might end up at 8,000 because none of us know. But what am I going to do? So this lets me say, well, what can I do with these remaining days? And this seemed like a place where I could plug in. Like I say, I've just been on the MAC since January, so I'm doing a lot of listening and trying to. Oh, and I was super impressed. I was super impressed with the Marine Lab, and I'm really upset with what we heard tonight. I know we all are, and that's just one little slice of things. And I don't know what we as a MAC can do, but you know, I want to yell at somebody that not, you know, somebody far away from us. Anyway, that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah,
That's great. John?
I think that, you know, the immediate opportunity, you know, was sort of manifested here tonight in the sense that this is a forum, and it's a really good forum it's a structured forum for information exchange. And I think that, you know, one of the opportunities is to figure out, as we've said, all these communities up and down the coast are quite different. They have different needs, different objectives. We're tied together, you know, as a function of a county governmental structure, but and there are certain themes in common, you know, disaster preparedness in a broad sense, those kinds of things, but I guess my interest is in it's sort of a macro micro. So how do we commit some greater amount of our time to the discrete local communities, and at the same time, you know, we speak, you know, for a fairly good sized geographic area, and I think that it is providing forums like this. Although, you know, one of the big opportunities I see is how do we get more people here? You know, half the audience, it was great to see, you know, a group of people, but half of them were the presenters. And you know, that's wonderful. I'm not being critical. I see it as a huge opportunity. You know, I'm lucky enough to live in Bodega Harbor. You know, there are people who have time. I'm in gross generalization, but time other than Beth. And resources, you know, and they're, you know, and I can tell you, there are people looking for things to do. And so, you know, Waves of Compassion needs volunteers. You know, how do I, as the representative here and for, you know, one of the reps for Bodega Bay, you know, help that organization get more volunteers or raise more money? And so I think that there's a local angle, and I'm not articulating this terribly succinctly yet, but I want to see MAC as a local agent to assist organizations, because they exist in all our little burgs that are trying to do these things. How can we help them? And I think part of it is obviously, Jay, you and Linda have done this in the sense of like a grant for the generator. I mean, that stuff is great. And that's sort of the macro, you know, there may be a little money here, or an opportunity there. That ties some of this together. But I really am sort of passionate about how do we get more members in this community engaged in positive ways. And I think we're sort of neutral. You know, there's no political agenda here. It's neutral. And so that's part of it. The other piece is, and this is where maybe I'm stepping over the skis here, and flat onto my face, but it's also advocacy in the sense that, you know, I sat out there and listened to these people on Bay Flat Road, and I give them a ton of credit because they've got what they perceive and I think is a legitimate issue. They also are not, they're not crazy, you know, they're not, it's not our way or the highway. They're very open and really looking for solutions. And what they said is, you know, individually they've gone, you know, to various entities, planning, public works, you know, Linda's office, and they don't have there's not the critical mass. It's a one-off issue. You know, we gave them some good informal advice, and if we were very careful about the advice, but the point is, they were like, that they left that conversation saying, oh, we actually have an approach and a plan, and the what's the woman's name? Annie even said, as we're leaving, she said, oh my God, she said, we've got 3 things that we can do now. And that's part of the opportunity. I mean, we can't make anything really happen out in Bay Flat, but we gave those folks some advice, and it was like, oh, this is how you access the system effectively.
Right.
And so, sorry, you know, my wife and my colleagues say, you know, they give me the famous sign, time out and off, but I think that there is this creating connections as we saw tonight, But with a larger audience, a larger part of the community, how do we get more people aware and engaged? And then the second piece is advocacy. And I don't mean in the sense of, going and sitting in at Public Works, but saying, look, you guys have a couple of options. Here's some things that historically have been effective. You need to talk to Linda. You need to talk to some of the other supervisors so they're not unaware of what your issue is. And again, they were great. They said it's not about the tribal land. We're beyond that. We understand that's not touchable, all the rest. There are a couple of concrete things that do relate to the county that we should be able to both provide some guidance and some support to you and to Linda for, helping them solve a very real, issue. So last thought. I think the challenge is we've got this meeting scheduled every other month. But unfortunately, it really is then just, once a year we're here in Bodega and once a year we're going to be up at the Sea Ranch and there isn't the opportunity to create continuity. And I think continuity of meeting, continuity of getting people to come because there's something that they want to talk about. So I know, Scott, you've got thoughts that you've referenced it as well about, is there a hybrid approach to this meeting process where, there's an official MAC meeting, but on an off cycle, there's the opportunity to have just an open community conversation. And, obviously, I think we should explore that, but I haven't given enough thought to the mechanics of how that would work. So I'm done. Sorry.
Okay, no, that's good.
Sorry.
I like that.
Jenny, you're up.
All right, so I think what motivated me to want to participate in the MAC is because we're very new and we still consider ourselves newbies to the community. We moved here during the pandemic, February, I think it was 1, right before we knew it was the pandemic. We knew something strange was happening in Washington State, people dying. And so we really didn't have the opportunity to really connect to community because everybody was isolated. And then we came out of that and we were saying, well, we really need to know where we're living and who's around us and what's going on in the community. And this was sort of my venture to go out and join the MAC because I thought it would be a good way to kind of get familiar with not only the immediate community, but the larger community on the coast, and also how the county works. Wherever I've lived, I have to understand how it works. I'm just one of those people that has to, my mind will just not stop until I understand how things work. And the common denominator is that we're all human beings and much similar wherever you live in the world, actually. So we have a different system here that works a lot of the time. Sometimes it doesn't, but we can make a difference if we step up to it. So it involves our time and our whatever skills we have. So that was what was motivating me, and it's been a great experience. It takes me a while to figure it out, but with talking with others too is really helpful, and sharing how it works, because I would approach many people and say, how does this work? And some people would be like, look at me like I had 3 horns coming out of my head because I didn't really understand how it worked.
And if we don't understand, if you're sitting in that audience as a renter or a homeowner and you've got a problem, where do you go? I mean, we not that we can solve it, but we can at least help point some options for direction about how you do get things done within the framework, particularly obviously the county.
But the big barrier for me was just, it took quite a while, in my opinion, for me to come to understand a little bit better about how it works. So I would like to see that cycle shortened for anybody that comes on board, if, as we rotate in and out. So that was my that was my motivation and, you know, also the big thing is once knowing people is like, how do you make the place better? What kind of things can you bring to the table? What kind of impact and what can you do for the community? You know, we're participating here to be, you know, representatives of the people that we know. And connecting people is a big part of that, but we have to know how we work, how the options are available to us can be put together and how to bring people together. And I think one of the challenges in living in a rural, you know, place where there's could be a lot of isolation, some by design and some just, it's just the way it is that we have to look for reasons to come together. So we can try to make that happen in a different kind of a way.
It's like building human capital.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, so I want to be part of making things happen and doing right by people and making it a better place. That's why I'm here.
Great, appreciate it.
So I'm here because I truly believe my calling is to serve others. And to serve others in a variety of ways. I look back on my youth and I naturally was the person just helping out. I wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. School wasn't my jam, but helping people out was. I've kind of followed that path since my children have left the nest. I believe strongly in Bodega Bay. I believe strongly in West County. I believe strongly in Sonoma County. And the way we keep our county cohesive is by volunteering. We get in and help people do some of the work they don't know how to get done. And I'm gonna build off of what you've all said. You know, we put people together. We learn the departments. We see who's effective, who can do what. Somebody comes to us with a problem and then we can assist them, direct them where they can go to potentially get it fixed.
But you know what? Sometimes when you do that, it doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, no, I'm
I
painful.
just like,
Yeah, right.
the county is many times totally unresponsive. And even if you involve Linda, it's still unresponsive.
Mhm.
And I think people lose faith in this type of organization when the county is not responsive.
You're 100% correct. And so that's where, what can we do?
Yeah.
We can be the dog that won't let go of the bone. This Old Bay Flat Road issue, I think it demonstrates that. I've been working on it for 18 months, 2 years.
You're not.
Well, no, I started working on it before it was an Old Bay Flat Road issue. I started working on it when it was a Fish Fest parking issue. So quite a long time. And you can't, you just don't abandon your flock. You know, like a sheep herder, you're not walking away from them. I've been helping them until they get, we will do what we can to help them get it over the finish line. To the best of our ability, but you're right, it is very difficult. Because sometimes you send them to the right department and then nothing happens. As advocates, one of the most frustrating things is pointing somebody in the correct direction, giving them the information they need to get something done. And sometimes frankly, they don't continue the work themselves. But that's frustrating.
But Carolyn, you also have me now. I'm an
And
ex-MAC person. I have
That's
MAC loyalty.
exactly right.
I
Chase,
get
very
things done for the
effective.
MAC people, so you let me know what you need help with.
Yeah.
This is the point that John, I think highlighted pretty well is just for context, the all MAC meeting, which was what, a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
If I'd encourage them to do that every 6 months, maybe, or.
Sure.
I would encourage everybody to go to that because it was there, all the chairs and vice chairs are there, and then plus a bunch of other MAC people who come. And you see how all the other MACs are run, and everybody's different. But the one thing that I saw that was common among pretty much everybody else was that they were all clustered around a community.
Mhm.
They were little bunches.
Yeah, co-located.
They're co-located and they had a common issue.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they used the MAC as a means of getting to their supervisor or whomever to fix something as a MAC. Whereas we are the only one that is linear. Up and down the coast, everybody's got the different, from nobody can do anything or even get together to Bodega Bay, which is thick with these organizations. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, which got me back to thinking of, we're meeting every 2 months for 2 hours, and unless we get specifically asked an issue from District 5, or we feel that there's a universal one we want to push forward, we're here to basically hear what the community has to say and maybe, answer a few questions. So all that 2 months in between meetings is, I think, where us in particular can really play. And John, it's because you can go to the Bay Flat Road Group or whomever, and you have standing. You have standing with them and you have standing with the county. And so you can act as a conduit, as a facilitator, as an advisor, and they will listen to you. And from the other side, Jay, and whomever he introduces you to at county to fix something, you have standing with them. And I would encourage everyone to exercise that, not wait for something to happen here. I mean, just, 2 month window, and it's gotta be a universally interesting subject.
Yeah.
Use that standing to help your neighbors with their issue. And if they've got one, we need to talk about that, but that's kind of where I was hoping that we could have, and from what people have said, I think we all agree, or we're all sort of on the same frequency of, we can individually help. We don't have to wait for the MAC to do something. We can do something ourselves.
And I think you stating that is very important, because that was under, for lack of better terminology, pre-Che's regime with us, the previous regime absolutely did the best to squash that.
Yeah.
So this is wonderful that we're talking about this, because it helps everybody, right? It helps.
Well, that's what we're here for. Your communities, you represent your communities, and you can carry that to your community, and you can carry that up the ladder.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'll just give an example. So I work with the River MAC a lot, and they're quite loud about what their issues are. But everybody that reaches out from the River MAC, every time, they say who they're representing, or, vice chair or chair. And it's always like, very bold at the bottom of that email. So when it's sent on, or when I introduce them to somebody at the county, this is a MAC member, and that does matter. That really matters
It does matter.
to our, other folks, because they know that they're connected. They know that they have Linda's here, and they're like, well, I better get this done.
And so you need to get that out to your community, or somehow demonstrate that to your community, that you are their conduit. You're the one representing them to help them solve the problems, or at least if not solve them, get an answer. And that's what I promise people. If they bring me an issue, I'll say, I don't know if this can be fixed, but I'll get you an answer. You may not be the one you want to hear, or it may be, but you can do that.
I think there's also a cultural thing, Mr. Chair, that people on the coast, we tend to try and not complain, right? We don't want to be a complainer, but it's like, no, it's a good thing. Tell the county, tell us when something's going on.
Yeah.
Because we don't know about it until somebody tells us about it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a cultural piece, especially in, I grew up in the community, Fort Ross and Timber Cove. Our more rural areas, you gotta like push people to actually be like, no, tell somebody there's a problem.
Okay. Scott, did you have a question?
Yeah, I'm waiting for the public comment section.
Oh, yeah, public comment,
Public comment.
3 minutes. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Carolyn,
Yes, sir.
this is on you. you are the MAC member for the Fort Ross area, and it was defined based on Fort Ross School versus Montgomery School.
Right.
It was kind of squishy. But you and Annapolis are kind of off a bit. And so it's up to you to listen to your community and bring that forward.
A lot of people out where I am
Mhm.
don't have any faith in
I
an
understand that.
organization like this to affect anything.
And as a community, Judy and them are really doing a great job pulling people together. And that's with fire, tree, fuels.
They need more money so that they can go back and redo it because of course it's gonna grow back. It's already
Yeah,
going back.
already.
All those little stump sprouts are.
So 3
like
minutes and we
going
move
down.
down the line. George, what you experienced here tonight was a big point of the MAC. You learned something about Bodega Bay, important.
Yeah.
And each group, as you rotate through the communities, meetings, you're gonna hear about that community. We started out by giving a 10-minute introduction to the community. And as such, we all learn about each other and can support each other better. And the key word of this group is advisory. That's the bottom up. And John, about relevance, I always believed that it was the topic on the agenda tied to the location of the meeting that helped to bring relevance to the community. So good, meaningful topics at the location where the meeting's being held. People show up for those. And
Yeah, my concern though is that it's every 2 months.
well, we did have the
I mean,
option
it's
before.
literally once a year that we're here.
Well,
And that does not breed confidence. It makes the communication challenges very, very difficult.
so,
So I hear you loud and clear, but
can I speak to that?
sure, yeah,
Okay,
please.
so, rotating helps to bring coastal cohesion. And, of the past year, it's been mostly down here or Jenner. But, there is the option of doing it having something every month. But more importantly, you as a MAC member can call a community meeting. I think that's what Scott was saying.
They've already decided to do that.
And so, on your own, under the umbrella of the MAC, and to bring ideas, we used to get big whiteboards. And we would, just, okay, everybody, tell me what's important, and we wrote that up, and pages and pages of these things, I shared them with you. That gave, the MAC member the information to really feel it. You have to drop your ego and drop your pet projects.
Right.
And really pick up the community's feelings and represent it in this group. And the relationships and the credibility that you develop with Che and the people in that office goes a long ways. And, but I'll say, and I'm sorry for having to say this, it is extraordinarily disappointing that Linda doesn't show up much. And that you only have 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have everybody.
Somebody's
We're missing 2 individuals.
And you have a vacancy. And that's hard.
Kashaya?
Yes,
Well,
I'll stop.
my
Is that 3 minutes?
concern is living with the reality of an every other
Yeah.
month, and what are we gonna do in that off month? It's certainly not a requirement to do anything, right? But again, you have standing in your community.
Yeah.
And if you say, hey, we're having a community meeting, and I want to hear your concerns. I go to the every Sunday market at the Timber Cove, for us elementary, and one of the reasons I go there is so people, they know who I am, they know I'm the MAC guy, and they can come and say, hey, this is going on, or, what's the deal with this? So anything you can do to get to use that other time, I'd encourage you to think about doing something like that. Open mic night for,
This is helpful. I mean, as a relative newcomer, you started in January, I'm not quite a year, and, I was not aware that we, would have the latitude, to do that, and what I'm hearing is, and I think we should, be clear, but there is the ability to, constitute a, an open forum night and it's, you know, it's not official, it's just listing and, you know, that's great, because I think that helps bridge this issue of, to some extent, continuity and, you know, and getting issues that are, you know, because they don't always surface, obviously, on the calendar month in which, you know, we're gonna be in Diego or, you know.
Well, you know, another thing you might consider, I try to do this, I go to other board meetings in my area.
Yeah.
Right.
I go sit in on the school board if I can, or the fire, or the CCP thing, and just, you just sit in, you know?
Yeah.
And just so you know what's going on, and also, by doing that, you give weight, credibility, whatever, to the position of MAC rep. Because you're there representing us, you're there representing the, you know, the county to a degree,
But
and they know they can talk to you.
this is one of the opportunities, though, is that, you know, and maybe it's just my limited interactions, but you talk about the MAC, and with all due respect, at least 60% of the time you get a blank look like, what is that?
Yeah.
There's no, and so I think this gets to the issue of outreach in the sense of a local town hall, but also, you know, ultimately is you think about, you know, how we share this information. You know, a simple one-sheeter that gets posted theoretically, you know, at their local FedEx or, you know, the copy lady, you know, in the sense of what's the mission? Who are the members? When are the meetings? You know, all of this it's, you know, you can find out certainly if you go to the county website, but you've got to exert yourself in the sense and actually go hunt, where if it's there, it starts to permeate along with these other things, going to the meetings, introducing yourself, just listening, those kinds of things.
If you go, what I found is if you go to those board meetings, then
Yeah.
those people know people, and the word
Yeah.
gets spread
Yeah.
out through those little groups.
If I may as well.
Yeah.
I also, you know, as an organizational development person,
It's hard, yeah.
I look at this at the MAC as, you know, not only are you guys engaging the community and there are barriers for that, and you got to figure out how to do that, and everybody's tricks are going to be different. I also would, you know, strongly suggest building that culture and cohesion among yourselves. And Ginny did a great job of organizing the tour. You know, I think more things like that, like the Fort Ross Fort would be super cool. Like I still nerd out on that. So, you know, as a MAC tour, and then, you know, we used to have retreats, and that's on me for not even thinking of that. I just, like maybe I could work with the chair and vice chair if you all were interested in doing a retreat for just you all. Cause we always do retreats with both the river and the coast MAC, or like the all MAC, but like getting some time with just your members, you know, 4 hours out of a day, you're already volunteering a lot. So I'm gonna let you have that conversation while I run to the restroom. But it's an idea to think about, like, I can facilitate that and build some cohesion and culture among you all as well.
So, while Chase taking care of business there, one of the issues I struggled with early on as a MAC and wanting to do some town halls was the framework I was presented by our then representative, was onerous. And you really had to run everything through District 5, and you had to follow the Brown Act, but then I'm hearing that's not necessarily the case for a town hall, that you don't have to do any of that.
You
And
do not, you do not, if it's just you, you know, or, you know, in our case, it was just me.
Could the invite go as far as saying hosted by your, you know, Ginny, your local, Ginny and John, your
100%.
local municipal, municipal, you know,
The only time it gets to be a problem is if we're all there.
Okay.
But there's a quorum, right? But there's
I just
If
wanted
it's
to
a
be sure that.
quorum and you're discussing some business, we
Right.
can all go
All
out for
we're
a
doing is
beer.
listening, yeah.
We can all go out for a beer and there's no Brown Act violation as long as we're not discussing our mission statement or whatever.
Well, we can't discuss anything, we have to be very careful, we can't discuss anything that'll potentially come to us either. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
And when we cannot be giving information that could be a subject that would come to the MAC. But be really
Okay.
careful with what we
Well-
can say, but we can let our constituents talk to us. We can
You
talk to them about
If there's
facts.
just, if it's just you, or it's just, you know, the two Bodega Bay people, they can have a community meeting under the rubric of the map.
Posted by, yeah,
Posted
it's
by.
unofficial.
One
yeah.
question I have about that is, are there any resources to support us financially? Like if we wanted to have like coffee and donuts or coffee.
You don't
and-
have to ask Jay about that. They
Not
have,
donuts, but fruit.
Yeah.
And because we heard at that retreat that
Right.
we went to, that some MACs get resources.
Yeah.
And that has never been a possibility.
We've always had a budget, we just didn't know.
well, each MAC has a
Well-
budget, an operating budget to, you know, pay his time by pay the contract,
Allocation.
the translators.
Yeah, the
you know, that kind of
translator,
stuff.
right, but so, I mean, I would like, that's what I meant when I said earlier, it's taken a long time
Yeah.
to come up to speed, to understand how things work. And that should be on in the first or second meeting, we should have some kind of formal training where these are the roles, this is how it works, this is the budget.
Yep, it's a
Onboarding.
onboarding
I kept asking for that.
You're right.
And I
Yeah,
kept
you don't
getting
have any
sent
idea what's going
the
on.
next
Right.
thing, and next thing, it was almost like I was speaking out of line because I was asking for what should have been coming from the county to us.
That's gonna change.
And I thought, well, what is this about if we're not about to ask questions? I mean,
Yeah.
what am I violating here by asking? Because I will just keep asking the same question until I get an answer.
I want to make something clear also, is that I think several of us have voiced complaints about previously not having access to information or access to what we really should be doing. That entire system is gone. That person, those people are no longer with the organization or Sonoma County. So I want to be very clear that we're not talking about any roadblocks that currently exist. I
No,
think we just kind of got
absolutely.
conditioned.
Correct.
We got, and now we know we can ask and
Okay.
talk about these things.
You have some?
No, I just liked your idea. I mean, we have private ranch associations,
Yeah.
which I can go and do something at, even though
Mhm.
I'm not part of any of them because,
You don't need to be.
oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, but they don't think that way.
Right.
They're a little bit, you know, it's like, who or why are you here?
You need backup?
I might actually, dealing with them along the ground. So yeah, I'll take your advice on that. I'll go and sit in on those and see if I can't, at least, you know, generate some awareness
Yeah.
of the possibilities that, you know, but, you know, to Jenny's point, there was no information when I joined about what you
Right.
should actually be doing.
Right.
So I'm glad you had this
Yeah,
discussion.
this was.
Yeah, this is great.
super helpful.
Yeah, because it's way beyond the mission statement.
Yeah.
But, and on that, John, do you have a draft you would like?
I
to-
do, but listening to this conversation, I can tell you I want to rewrite it.
Okay.
You know,
It's a straw man proposal.
it's very much a straw man. There's nothing, this is black and white, and I have the, you know, I guess, there's nothing secret. We need
They
another
wanted
one.
the public.
The public,
Mr.
really
Public,
quick.
Do you have one?
I don't, but I have
No,
a
I've
digital.
written it. No, whatever. I mean, just.
We're
Because
not, okay, we're not gonna, make changes at this
No,
meeting.
no, no.
No,
No, I think what I would say is, you know, why don't you peruse it? As I said, I think that the intent was to try and capture in a reasonably user-friendly format, and this isn't completely formatted, but you know, the thought is something that is literally a one-sheeter, and it could be formatted once we get, you know, once we're in agreement on language. Almost as an outreach tool, but most importantly, that it's you know, that it's easy to read, it's clear, it's not legalese, it's not bureaucratese, it's, you know, it's sort of almost neighbor to neighbor, and I think it needs to probably even be softened up a little more in that regard. Well, I guess what I would ask is if people have reactions, you know, I neglected to put my email on here. But I'll give it to you all or I can send this to you in a Google Doc as long as you know, again, Brown Act issue, but it's just a working doc.
Okay.
And you can, do folks have, access to like a Google Doc?
Google Docs, yeah.
Okay, then I'll send it that way.
Great.
There's a comment tool on Google Docs, which is great. Just give me your thoughts. And I do think that there, you know, we can inject a little more passion into the mission.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm also, Jay was kind enough to give me, you know, some advice and send along the official, bylaws. And I guess I'm gonna attach those so everybody sees that. That was also helpful. I don't think we need to necessarily attach the bylaws to, you know, whatever we're gonna publish, but at least a link so people can find it.
Yeah, we just need to.
So
make
this
two-
doc was guided by, you know, looking through all of the MACs at that conference. There were mission statements aggregated. They were all generally in the same ballpark. Nothing radically different from statement to statement. I took some of that, but really thought about, it's this issue of being a conduit in both directions, is the principal mission. And then, you know, so I'll send everybody a Gmail with, but I'm gonna ask you, give me, just so I've got it, I'm gonna pass around my copy. Would you just give me the email address you want me to use for this? And I'll look for comments and we'll turn around another version very quickly.
Do you have to be careful about the Brown Act with this?
Yes, we have to be very careful about the Brown Act with this.
So yeah, I'll dig into it, John.
So I won't do anything till I hear from you.
Yeah.
I think it all has to go through Che and then Che disseminates it to us.
Oh, that's
individually.
fine. Well, you guys will figure that out, but I think we've got it, you know, ultimately, I'd like your emails anyway.
I'm
so-
saying, this Google Doc.
Oh, give me the.
That sounds good for everybody.
No, I'll just give you
We'll
a
figure it out.
different email.
We'll
address.
figure it out.
I'm not gonna use this officially. No.
Okay, I'll
this
just do an unofficial email.
What,
address.
Scott?
Just a simple correction,
Mhm.
but important. Second paragraph, communities represented by CMAC include Valley Forge, Bodega, Bodega Bay, Jenner, Timber Cove. But where it falls apart is Fort Ross and West Cazadero. That's two names for one place. We have to choose one. The Sea Ranch and
Well,
Annapolis.
I'm taking this right out of the,
I know it's wrong.
Well-
And Annapolis,
Actually, West California does not exist.
okay,
right, and Annapolis is omitted.
Yes.
And we're,
Okay,
where's it omitted?
It's
the
not
list.
listed.
No, it's the Sea Ranch / Annapolis. Again, I took this off the county doc.
I know you
Yeah.
did, it's wrong.
Oh, sorry. Oh, in the second paragraph, I'm sorry, I was going through the current appointees. Yeah. I got you.
And on the meeting schedule that, if Fort Ross wants to be host, they should be included.
yeah,
We have no place.
PPI.
That's what we write in.
No, because that's its own business. That's not like a free-for-all.
But they,
I would
they
have
host a
to,
lot of things.
you'd have to schedule it. They're really busy. I mean, it's like, it's not an open.
All right, I was trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, I
we've
mean,
traditionally now combined Fort Ross to Cove and the Fort Ross.
That's-
School.
that's
Yeah, that's
fair.
why we always
Yeah.
go up to it
Okay,
for us.
if you're good with that.
But
Yeah,
just because
that's
all the
fine.
kids go there too, so it kind of.
Yeah.
I do have a question. If we wanted to have, kind of like a town hall here in Bodega Bay at the Grange or wherever we decide. And we wanted to host some hospitality. How should we go about that? If there's budget for that or there's not budget for that?
There's not really budget for that, but
Okay.
I'm more than happy to help, cook up something or do whatever.
And I have resources because of the other hats I wear.
Okay.
That might get us a location.
Okay.
They got a
I
whole
was
food
curious.
bank here.
So what, no, but I wanted to know what mechanisms exist so that, you know, and just be able to
If you need something,
contemplate it.
this is the guy to talk to.
Okay.
If you need, you know, if maybe a PA or the owl or, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't know, it all depends on what their schedule is and
Right.
competing things, but
We don't want the,
I don't think we
don't want
I don't think that we want,
okay.
I think that the benefit of an open community meeting is, is to be as informal and
personable.
personable and
Neighbor meeting neighbor.
not a lot of
Yeah. Well,
barriers.
neighbor meeting neighbor.
And it introduces you guys to the community
Right, exactly.
as well. I mean, as much as hearing what they have to say, they need to see who you guys are.
But I noticed that in all meetings that we're even, you know, if there's food, if there's hospitality, people will show up.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just a magnet. And so we want to get more people. It's part of the, it's part of the, part of the draw. It's,
Yeah, we'll work on.
Yeah.
Well, that,
I bet it's solvable.
I think it's
solvable.
quite solvable.
but I wanted to explore what
Right.
the parameters were,
Okay.
if that was possible.
Piggybacking off of Jenny, real quick, thinking about community engagement. We really need name tags.
I ordered them today.
No kidding.
Yep, Cynthia has an order in today. I cannot tell you which of the COSMAC logos she chose because they all have different colors. I'm colorblind and I left that to her, but they're going to have a black facing like staff does.
Okay, and then what about business cards?
Yeah, they offered that in the beginning.
Right, and a couple of different times.
I ordered the name tags, Beth.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
All right, I'll get a, see how much name tags cost.
So-
Our resources are limited, but I will try my best.
Previous organization I volunteered with, we had generic business cards.
Mhm.
Where it was the organization's name, and then you put in what your name and your title was.
How about a little QR code on your name badge? I mean, people just go.
Oh, I like that.
You know, there could be something to that.
I think so.
That's actually, I would like, I've run out of.
Pictures of someone's upper. This sounds like.
I may have a problem with this.
I love to say because I run out of cards all the time, and then I make people take pictures of my card, which is annoying.
Right.
That's actually a great
An
idea.
accessory would be an earring that they could, you know.
Okay.
It wouldn't match my eyes.
All right, so what we're gonna do, John's got the ball.
I'll work with Jay, so the distribution is legal, and,
Okay.
and we don't have any issues.
Okay,
I'm gonna
and
check with county council tomorrow on it, but I think we should be good.
Carol and Jay and I are gonna have coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go have some coffee. I'll buy.
Okay.
You choose the place.
When I go to
Whether or
town.
not we.
Yeah,
would
no,
like
let
to
me-
Next trip to town, they have to come to Fort Ross.
Yeah, I'm fine coming me at Fort Ross Store.
Yes.
That's, last time I met him, I met him at Fort Ross Store.
Okay.
I think when we say
That's not too
retreat,
far. I mean,
I'm
like,
assuming
it's
it's part of the
quick,
day.
yeah.
If you
Yes.
prefer, when you come to
Yes,
town,
I
choose your
think-
favorite
I
coffee
think
shop,
one of the
whatever.
best things
Got
would
to be
be
there, that would be fine.
Yeah,
to
whatever's
talk about-
easiest for you.
And maybe it's not necessary.
Yeah.
but
He'll
I'll
make
be
it.
on it.
Okay,
Okay, so do
let's do a
you actually
community
really
meeting.
have my
You know,
email?
what should we keep
I
in
do.
mind?
I have the
mean,
right
you know,
email.
here's
Okay.
sort of like, you know.
It's the Proton one that I have to
things think
avoid,
about.
right?
When I say rules of the road, I don't mean,
Eliminate that.
you know,
The Outlook, I
I
can't
don't
do it
mean
because the county.
bureaucracy, but look, look.
Because we have to retain everything.
Right.
Yeah, my daughter said that would be good.
There's a
and
topic.
she said,
I don't know
"No,
whether we
don't
need
do
that."
that anymore. And I said, oh, God, really?
Three of us are really,
Okay,
we've begun doing some really
Yeah,
good
no,
work.
no,
All right, Scott, I'm getting some,
Thank you.
I think it's
Uh,
great.
Our meeting.
we need a motion in a second.
I moved
Okay.
adjourned.
Second.
George,
Second.
All in favor?
who was the second?
I was.
Okay.
Dinner time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drive fast.
Mine is currently eating the camera.
Yes, sir.
I know it.
Part two.
And it's a dog.